Hiya. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Yep, no problem. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our seminar from Lithuania to the world, mastering artist branding for global audiences. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Rosanna Connolly. She's joining us via Zoom from south of London. Unfortunately, she couldn't come to be here in person. Rosanna is an international communications expert, and she's an owner of her own PR firm called Morena Comms. Welcome, Rosanna. Pleasure to have you
Hi.
here
Hi,
online.
everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hope you're well. I guess the floor is yours.
Cool. Well, it's lovely to meet you all. I wish I could see you. I'm sure you're there. Um, but yeah, as Giedra said, I live in London, so I'm coming to you from South London today, and I absolutely love sharing PR knowledge with artists from all over the world. So it's really a delight to be with you for the next couple of hours. So, the session today is called From Lithuania to the World, Mastering Artist Branding for Global Audiences. So, part of my remit as a publicist is that I work on global campaigns. And I'll go through some campaigns that I've worked on in this presentation, but we're going to be focusing on a global appeal today, basically. So let's do the next slide. This is me. I look very glamorous in this photo. I never look like this in real life. That doesn't matter. So this is some of my experience. I started working in music about 13 years ago now. I started at Universal Music. So I worked for major labels, Virgin EMI and Mercury Records, worked on really cool campaigns like Frank Ocean's Channel Orange, worked on Chase and Status, Watch the Throne when Jay-Z and Kanye were friends, Rihanna, multiple albums, Justin Bieber, multiple albums. And it was a really, really fun time. I was there for just over 6 years, and after that, I moved to Apple to run the PR for Apple Music in the UK and Europe. So Apple's a global company, and it's based out of California. And I was kind of taking all of the information we were getting from California and packaging it up for the UK and Europe and looking after this side in terms of the PR for Apple Music, this side of the world, I should have said. And that was amazing because not only did I work on Apple Music, I worked on major launches, so iPhone launches, the launch of Apple TV, things like that. Worked across loads of software updates as well. So that was very interesting, and I learned a lot from that role. From there, I moved to Platoon, which was acquired by Apple in 2018, actually. So, Platoon, you may have heard of it. It's essentially an incubator for artists. They launched Billie Eilish back in the day, and Steph London, and Georgia Smith, and people like that. So, they've worked with some really cool names, and I helped do their global communications for them as well, and the artists that were under their umbrella. And then finally, I launched Morena Comms about, I think it's 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, maybe, which is my own PR company. So we work with artists from all over the world. and we work with businesses. And I love doing music tech and corporate PR. I really enjoyed it in my time at Apple, so I focus on a lot of nerdy stuff like music tech, corporate PR, things like that. So yeah, I'm really happy to come with you today. A huge passion of mine is working with independent artists. I feel not a lot of independent artists get good advice when it comes to PR or good services when it comes to PR. So it's really important to me that we have an offering for independent artists at my company where you can get really expert work for not very much of the cost. I think it's really important to have access to these skills no matter where you sit in the food chain, if you will. So that's my history. And I wanted to just explain a little bit about what PR actually is, because everyone knows, or it sits in the marketing kind of area, the marketing field, but sometimes it can get confused with other areas of marketing. So this slide is quite good to kind of break it down for you. So this is the marketing landscape as a whole, and we have different types of categories where marketing tactics will fall into. So we've got paid marketing, owned marketing, and earned marketing. And some have a little bit of a crossover, but I just wanted to go through the three buckets basically. So paid would be banner advertising. So if you're scrolling on a website, maybe Vice or ID or your favorite news website, sometimes you can see advertising at the top of the page. That's like a Heels website that you've been on a couple days ago, or an umbrella, or some food, or a Hello Fresh box, or whatever it is. That's called banner advertising. Video advertising is like when videos are embedded into articles, but they're not related to the articles that you're reading. It could also be if you're on Instagram and then you scroll to the next post and it's an advert. Native advertising is when it's like embedded within an article. So if you're reading something online and you'll see an ad for, again, shoes or HelloFresh or whatever it is, that's when it's embedded in advertising. Affiliate, so you might be on TikTok and it will say commission paid or paid partnership or ad, something like that. That's when it's affiliate. And then you've got your traditional advertising. So that's TV, adverts on TV, adverts in print. And OOHU means out of home. So that's like billboards that you'll see on the street and things like that. The next kind of marketing that we have is owned marketing. So this is essentially data that you own. So you can own people's data as long as they give it to you. You have to have permission. But you can own like emails if they sign up to a newsletter. That's an owned media. You own your own website. So if the data that you collect from your website would be your own. E-commerce, again, data that you collect from sales. If someone signed up to hear from you via WhatsApp, you can own their number essentially so that you have permission to message them. If they've downloaded an app, they've given you their address, or if you're meeting them in person and they give you some kind of data, that is owned marketing. Social media doesn't fall into owned marketing because essentially, if your social media platform shut down tomorrow, you wouldn't have access to your followers. So it doesn't quite fall into owned, even though you kind of own your own handle and your own profile and things like that. You don't have that data. You haven't collected that data from your followers. So it's not a kind of marketing bucket that you own. So if you do have social media, which I'm sure all of you probably do, and you don't have any owned media, it might be a good idea to start collecting some data via a newsletter or a Substack or something like that, just so if anything does happen, you can have a way of reaching your fans as well. And then the last type of marketing that we're going to talk about is the business that I'm in. And I would say it's the hardest type of marketing because you can't buy it. It's called earned marketing, earned media. So that's public relations, it's reviews, it's testimonials, it's how people feel about you. and it can't be bought, it can't be influenced. If someone likes you or they don't, that's that. And my job as a publicist is to get people to get journalists to talk about the subjects that I'm sharing with them and the information that I'm sharing with them. And I try and do it in the most compelling way, in the most interesting way, so that they want to talk about it and they want to hear more and things like that. So earned media is about sentiment. Paid, you can buy as much money as you have. You can spend it on paid, and you can look at data and all of these things. Owned, it's about kind of having really good funnels. But earned, I'd say it's the trickiest type because um you can't tweak something visible like in terms of data or something like that. That's matched to something. You can tweak things in pivot and stuff like that. It's a kind of a guessing game though. So that's the marketing area that I work in. But I really enjoy it because it's the art of storytelling, and I feel storytelling is the most important part of marketing. And then you'll see in the middle, there's some crossover. So we've got social media. Like I said, you may own your social media account, you don't own the followers. Content marketing, influencer marketing, throwing events or joint events, and SEO. So you can sometimes pay for SEO, which is search engine optimization, if you have a website, but you can also do like SEO yourself, basically using SEO rich words to appear in searches higher and things like that. So this is the marketing landscape. I'd encourage you to take a picture of it because it's really handy to know where things fall when talking about marketing. I think in this industry as well, there's just a kind of base level that people have. So this is really good to understand this base level so that you're caught up straight away and are able to build on it basically. Um, so I'll give you a couple of seconds to take a picture and then I'll move on. So I love this phrase. I live by this phrase. I think it's a really good one to again understand where PR falls and storytelling falls in the marketing landscape. So we've got marketing is selling, advertising is telling, and PR is compelling. So it goes back to the diagram that we had. There's data, there's things like that, there's things you can work on, there's like tweaks and things that you can make based on optimization and things like this. But PR is appealing to the human side of people. It's that compelling part. It's the connections. PR actually is it's short for public relations, but it actually its origins are in propaganda. So propaganda basically became a thing during the wars, when people were trying to get men to sign up to the army. So it's like your country needs you and Rosie the Riveter and stuff like that. And that propaganda was incredibly compelling and it worked. And then people changed it into PR, into what it is today, basically. So um, this is like a question that I wanted to ask a few people. So maybe I don't know if it's possible. If a couple of people could come up or get handed the mic or something. I know I'm not there in person, but I like to make these as interactive as possible. So I'd love to hear direct from you what you're struggling with most in your branding and your PR currently. Is that possible?
Hello.
Hello.
So my name is
Hi.
Andrus, and
Hi.
so I'm fully aware, for example, that one has to have a story, right? But then it can feel very much contrived. It's sort of
Mm.
being aware of aspect of like X factor, whatever, something that draws people in.
Yeah.
But then anything that can come up doesn't feel authentic or truthful. It sort of feels very contrived, and it can often feel, oh, that story, I don't even believe it,
Mm.
and then coming up with that story that would feel truthful to myself before sharing it to others. If you know what I mean, like that's what you're saying, storytelling, and what story can I
Yeah.
come up about myself? So yeah, that's I feel like, most common struggle.
That's honestly, that's very relatable for a lot of artists as well. It's lovely to meet you. Um, And sometimes it's a mix of personality in terms of like, oh, like sharing and stuff like that, and feeling like your story isn't as important as someone else's. And then also just understanding where your boundaries are as well in terms of what you want to share, because you don't have to share everything. Um, and sometimes it can feel like selling yourself, which is not what we want to do at all. And that's why it might feel a little bit awkward and stuff. So um, that is like such a common struggle, and such a common problem that people have with branding. Um, and the only way to kind of get over it is by getting out there and sharing your story and understanding what makes you feel cringe and what people respond to really well and what you feel comfortable with, and kind of working on it that way. But it's such a common issue that a lot of people have. Anyone else?
I believe that's it.
Okay,
No one
well,
else? No, no one else.
no problem. Thank you so much for contributing. And we can 100% address that kind of storytelling and that like selling of self and it not being authentic as well during the session. Um, because yeah, it's so important to feel comfortable with how you're sharing who you are, because you want to represent your music in the best way. Your music is an extension of you. But thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Okay, so I wanted to go into some EPK examples. So an EPK is an electronic press kit. So this is essentially how you can represent yourself as well as an artist. So going out to the world, this is in terms of your branding and having your shit together and things like that. Because there's so many artists and so many breaking artists and so many talented people in the world, and the ability to release music has been democratized. It's easy to release a song, it's easy to upload it and be able to share your music with the world, but that also means so many people are able to do that as well. So what's going to set you apart as an artist is having your shit together straight away. So I wanted to share some electronic press kit examples because I want us all to go away with a sort of EPK from this session as well, or an idea of what our EPK will look like. So let's start with Lydia. So this is Lydia's press kit. You can see her names really clearly. You can see it's her press kit, and you've got a beautiful image of her straight away. And as soon as I saw this press kit from Lydia, I thought, okay, we've got some kind of soft, maybe folk, maybe R&B. I just felt like feminine energy from this, and that was exactly what her music sounded like, right? So immediately from her visuals, I connected her to a certain type of sound, and it connected. If Lydia's press kit had been her in like Kiss makeup and platforms and like kind of gothic clothes and maybe some bats and stuff, and then I heard like this soft R&B, I'd be like, whoa, what? So this is why branding is so important about how you represent yourself and the energy that your music has as well. So this is the first page. We then go into a bio about her. So we've got mentions as well, honorary mentions, BBC introducing. It's very easy and quick to read. You can see, you can pick out words and things like that. You can see what's coming next. And then you've got upcoming shows as well. So you can see where you might be able to see her live. So upcoming dates. After this, we've got some quotes and some testimonials. So that's what we try and achieve as publicists as well when we're helping with press campaigns. It's not just coverage. We want those really good testimonials and sentimentality about you as an artist. And then the last page is, of course, the music, because you need to hear the music. So sharing a couple of songs, but also here I really liked her press it because she had visuals with it as well. And you can see, again, the visuals are so aligned with her and like the personality and the character that she's putting out there. So that was Lydia. And then here we have Walshy. So Walshy's an artist that sent me their press kit, and it was great, to be honest. It's great. This is how we have our press kits with my PR company. It's a Google Drive, and it has everything that Lydia had in her like PDF kind of thing in a drive. And I prefer using Drive because they're easier access, and we have a version like it's called a one sheet, a one pager, in these drives as well, where people can have easy access to information. But I really like electronic press kits when they're in Drive. So you'll have something like artwork, press shots, a bio, a press release, links to music as well, MP3 downloads, especially if you're pitching to radio and things like that. So Walshy I thought was really great. Annoyingly, I can't open these on here because it goes to another window, but Victoria Jane didn't have a complete press kit. So you go into a folder. If you're sending your work to someone and you don't have a complete press kit or a complete way of someone to hear your music, it's very unlikely they're going to hound you to follow up because they have so many people reaching out to them. They have so many people emailing them. So being prepared and having everything that you need in one place is going to be really, really important to set you apart. This last EPK I wanted to share because although I love the aesthetic, it's just not as good as it could be. Because I don't know about you, I 100% cannot read for the life of me what their artist name is. So I wouldn't even know where to start there. It's I don't know. Still don't know. I've tried to kind of work it out. Don't know what their artist name is. Love the colors, love the photo. You kind of get a vibe. There's going to be some quirky type of music, maybe electronic. The bio is okay. It's just not very engaging. Nothing's really standing out. It's got some contact details and things like that, but it's not as strong as it could be. So I'd say from all of these, have a press kit in a drive or have a PDF like Lydia. I would go for always the one in the drive with a kind of one pager PDF in it. And that is what we're going to work on today. So, oh, there's one more. Okay, so this is an artist that we work with as well. And this is quite saturated, but I think it's a really good example of a one-page EPK because we've got her bio here. We've got the press that she's achieved, and then it's all hyperlinked in here. So if you want to have a look at Nylon, you can click the Nylon logo and it goes to the article where Nylon writes about her. We've got previous releases here. Again, you can click and go straight to the releases, and it also has the stats. So 6 million streams, 2.5 million streams. This is really good to just have information at a glance. Her most popular release is Terebina, and this is when it released. And you've got, again, links to music videos, shorts, like social things like that. You've got playlists that she's been a part of. Again, can link to them. You've got her press shot in the corner and here to get a feel of the type of music that she's putting out, as well as key stats. And then the recent release, Be, again, you can go to that. And then we had the album sampler link here. So as we were pitching for the album, people could have all of this information on one page, could click away to their heart's content, whatever they wanted to, and then go straight to the album sampler, which we were pitching for PR coverage. So this to me is a really, really strong EPK. It's a one page, it's all in one sheet. Like I really love Lydia's as well. It's just effort to click through. And I know it's silly me saying that, but genuinely it is effort for people to click. The more barriers that you give people, the less likely they are to engage all the way. So having something on one page, really, really key. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So we want to start with branding. So you'll notice the branding are quite put together here to give an idea of who each artist is. So I wanted to do this with you, a little exercise. So hopefully you'll have like pens and papers. If not, take notes on your phone. But I want you to kind of take a couple of minutes to write down who you are as an artist. And at this point, like I would be coming round and like having chats with you. But if anyone fancies coming up and telling me about who they are as an artist, I'd love to hear it. So that we can brainstorm some colors and some energies and ideas together. But yeah, have a couple of minutes just to write down who you are as an artist and come up and speak to me if you want to. I know it's really awkward though.
Anyone done and would like to share their thoughts? Anyone? No one?
That's okay. It's quite daunting coming all the way up to a stage, and I get it. I totally get it. I wish I could be there in person to just have conversations. If anyone feels brave, I'd love to kind of hear who they
Come
are
up.
as an artist.
Okay, it's me again. I think I'm the only one not shy. So, I can think of myself as like an instrumentalist who's, I think for me, I haven't put out my music for like a number of years, been working with others. So I have to put myself as someone who's in between sort of, I would describe myself as someone knowledgeable about making music and maybe having this a bit of a mad scientist vibe and somehow tapping into that and at the same time really wanting to do things and being very shy, if you know what I mean.
I
And
got
sort
that
of,
from you when you first spoke as well.
so yeah, angst.
That's really cool. And it's so commendable. I really commend you, even though you are a shy person, that you've come up twice today, and that's not easy at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you're breaking out of your shell and it's a safe space to do it. I love that idea of the crazy scientists and things like that. So, for some branding like that, I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to explain it really simply. All of the kind of bolder wording, perhaps they could have like shadows or shakes behind them. And I don't know if you will have it in Lithuania, but it's those. Do you know those orb balls, and you like touch it, and then the lightning comes to your finger?
Yeah.
I see like branding like that, imagery like that. It sounds like you are really knowledgeable, but really playful and collaborative. So having some colors that feel welcoming and warming whilst feeling like electric and having that quirkiness that you have could be fun with the branding as well.
Yeah, true. Uh, and then also another question is like, I think, music is something that's rather difficult to talk as an artist. I think it's easier to talk about things that are around music, that sort of, and quite often, most narratives for artists are built not on music itself, right? But about sort of how they ended up in music, what they, most stories I can think of, like immediate facts are usually like, Cardi B was a strip dancer, or like, you know what I mean? It's not about music or like someone is working with their sibling or,
Yeah.
so sort of how to,
Yeah, I guess music is a result of experiences, right?
yeah,
And it's these experiences that influence the art. So when you're talking about Cardi B in the club with red bottoms and stuff like that,
yeah,
that's how she saw life at that moment in time and
exactly.
was able to inspire the art. So that's why that's kind of that compelling part, right? That's the interesting part. It's the story that brings people in to want to listen. So yeah, it's true because we sometimes get approached by artists to do their PR, and it's like, well, I'm just a great artist. I'm like, but what's your
Yeah.
why? Like, why are you releasing this? Like, what's it about? And they're like, well, because it's good.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, in this day and age, that's just not going to cut it. We need to like understand that why and that story behind it, and that's what people buy into. People buy into that before even listening to a song. It can influence how they hear the song as well.
Yeah.
So that's why, essentially, and I love that you kind of know backstories of artists and things like that. Yes, songs can be good. Usually, the ones that are just out because they're good, they have like a big audience or a big kind of label or big budget behind them. So as indie artists or breaking artists, we have to work harder to help people hear us out on all levels. So it's not just about the music being good, it's about the branding being together and how we present ourselves and how we share the experiences that led us to creating art.
Yeah, and I know but like it's another struggle as an artist. I think is sometimes when someone like PR comes, you sort of see an artist from outside. So it's rather hard for an artist. For example, I have experiences with maybe wood draw, but like somehow, like even things I'm telling you, oh, Ed Sheeran played on the street a lot, and everyone knows that before they got picked up. By most artists, you can like immediately sort of say one fact, but as an artist, it's so sort of feels so one-dimensional to sort of repeat one most memorable fact about yourself, and it feels I know it works and it's super cringe at the same time, and it feels like you're reducing yourself. That's what I think is quite hard when someone steps from outside and does that for you.
Yeah.
That sort of drives the point home. That's what you maybe can do, but doing that job for yourself feels, even though it's the thing to do, it just
Yeah.
horribly, it feels so wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, this hasn't changed for years and it probably won't either. It's just like performing the same songs every night on stage. It's just to a different crowd, right? So,
Yeah.
and as artists, you're always innovating, you're always creating, but you'll see artists are touring albums that came out 2 years ago because that's what people want to hear. And it's the same with doing interviews. You may be doing the same interview time and time again, just with different outlets because they pick up on stuff from your past, and it's a way to share with their readers or their audience that may not know you, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not something that will probably ever change because although it's repetitive to you, it's actually new to some other people,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that makes sense. So
Does.
I would just liken it to performing the same music every night, right? But somehow you're able to kind of ad lib and find joy and find fun and strength, and that's what I encourage the artists that we work with to do. And they're like, oh, I'm answering the same question again and again. And it's like, because people really find it interesting to ask it to you. So find interesting ways to respond to it. But I think it's just reminding yourself that, yes, this is old news to you, but it's fresh and exciting to someone else. And they want to share this part of you with other people to reach a wider audience. But yeah, this is again something that a lot of people struggle with because it's like, come on, where's the new stuff? But yeah, I don't think that one will change.
Yeah, it's true. And when you think about Beatles, right? They're still like four friends from Liverpool. Whatever we've done afterward, that sort of, I guess, one line that stays with you throughout your career, in some sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's better to lean into it rather than fight it. I think that there's bigger battles and stuff, and of course, again with boundaries and things like that. If there's anything you don't want to talk about, working with a publicist or just saying to someone ahead of time, look, this is off limits. I'm not going to talk about this in this interview. That's okay. as well. So it could be relationships, it could be, anything else. And either you could say, look, I kind of said ahead of time, didn't want to talk about that, or your publicist would usually jump in if you had a PR in the room to say, no, next question kind of thing. So it's possible to have boundaries. But you can't really have boundaries of like, well, don't ask me if I sang on the street, because that's just part of your story, if that makes sense. But it's a really compelling part of the story. Like Ed Sheeran sofa surfed for a really, really long time, busked for a really, really long time. It wasn't just 2 weeks, it was years. And he never gave up. So that's just such a strong story that people can empathize with. And whenever I hear it and whenever I hear details about it, I'm like, wow, just even more impressed. And then again, it leads to me listening to his art in a new way and having like a more of a listening ear than if I'd heard it cold, if that makes sense. But yeah, I hope that everyone's been able to write down a few words of who they are as an artist, the energy that they emulate. I love that mad scientist
We have
mentioned. Oh,
we have a couple more people who'd like to share their thoughts.
awesome. Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Sandra, and
Hi, Sandra.
I'm a Spanish singer-songwriter in Lithuania.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my question is about that because I feel a bit alone in the sense that I might be maybe the only artist or very little artist who does Latin music in Lithuania, or at least like my own creation. So I think it's a market still to explore, and it feels a bit lonely in my case. And another thing is how to create my image in a way that is attractive for Lithuanian market without going to the obvious things like, like you think in Latin and everyone is thinking about sun, cocos, carrots, birds, and this kind of things. So how to make it attractive but without going to the obvious. Yeah, that's my question.
Honestly, that's such a good question, and it's lovely to meet you. I'm afraid I don't know Lithuanian culture well at all to kind of give you specific advice on branding there. But I love that you're a Spanish artist in a new culture, and I think having that fusion whilst being respectful of the culture and the way of life, bringing your own flavor on top of that could be really cool. So maybe if there are like traditional Lithuanian things, like adding a touch of salsa or whatever it is onto that, because you're blending cultures, and this is what immigration is about. This is what traveling the world is about. And I think if you're trying to appeal to a Lithuanian audience, kind of showing something that they know that's familiar with a little bit of a twist could be a good entry point into sharing your music as well. Like if so my heritage, I'm half Irish, then my grandma is South African Indian and my granddad is Guyanese. So I'm a big old mix of the world. But if I was gonna like share some of my culture in like a British culture, for example, I'd go for straight up British food, right? Fish and chips, yeah? Fish and chips. And then I'd sprinkle some kind of Indian spices on there, or Caribbean spice, or some Scotch bonnet, or something like that. So it's recognizing where I'm at, recognizing the people that are around me, but also just adding the sprinkle of culture or flavor or quirkiness that I want to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense actually. I mean, I'm actually trying to mix both things.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Love that. That's awesome.
We have one more person.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Patonia, and I am coming from an alternative background, but currently I am doing more and switching towards ethno-alternative style, which is in a modern way, not like taking old songs, but making new ones in a matter of accents and the tradition of how the Lithuanian folk music sounded or sounds. So I make new kind of thing, and I'm twisting it with alternative, modern sounds. So I'm currently actually working on an album that's going to be on this concept, reaching towards the ancestors, but making it in a 21st century. So I'm actually now thinking of my branding a lot, and what clothes should I wear, what are the visuals and everything else. So it would be really interesting to know what you would like from the start, because unlike Sandra here, I want to make it obvious because because we don't have it a lot. Like we have a lot of traditional music that is like made into electronics, but not that much of a kind of a new thing that tries to integrate. So I want to make it obvious as possible, but also not do it in a very traditional way, but in 21st century. So.
Absolutely love that, and I can't wait to hear your music. I hope you'll send it to me. The visuals that I see is go full traditional, so go full Lithuanian traditional clothing, things like that, and then add your 21st century twist. So I'm afraid my Lithuanian culture knowledge is zero. So I'm just going to throw stuff out there. So we've got traditional Lithuanian clothing. And again, this has to be authentic to you, but I have my ears like usually decked out in earrings. So maybe like really, really big earrings, or really like something that isn't quite traditional, but is very, very 21st century, like you say, or some thigh-high boots or something like that mixed with the traditional Lithuanian clothing. Maybe it's the traditional clothing and then having someone that's completely tattooed from head to toe, and it's a juxtaposition of it's a visual juxtaposition of having the traditional clothing but in a new era. If that does that make sense? I hope it does.
Yes, that actually makes sense. I actually thought about it, so it's nice that you thought about it too, because it like confirms my thought. So that is nice.
Awesome. I cannot wait to hear and see this music, because yeah, even the way you've described it to me, I'm like, oh, I'm really interested in that.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see these visuals come to life as well. I would say go super traditional. That's what you want to do, and then juxtapose it with something that's very, very modern. Like, just have that really big clash, basically.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. I think we have one more person.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Nika, and I'm doing. You can't see us, but I think I'm the only one who's asking you something sitting down. But I'm in the first row, just so you know.
Nice to meet you.
As someone who already has a pretty good idea of my branding, I would like to tell you a tiny bit about myself and just see if the things that you come up with and you kind of see, based on what I say, match up with what I already have, knowing myself and having heard and written my music.
So you're
if that's okay with you. Yeah. No, I'm testing my own understanding of my own branding.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Let's do it.
So I am a singer-songwriter and composer of jazz and ambient electronic music. And my entire storytelling is based off of my experience as a very neurodivergent person and an immigrant several times now. And so that has always made me feel quite alienated. And that is perhaps the astral theme of it all, is something that follows me and my composition and perhaps my branding. So what do you see when you hear that?
Well, with the description, it's not like you've said an immigrant of multiple places, but I didn't get the countries. So it's hard to like associate colors and things like that. But with jazz, I see kind of sultry, smooth, kind of reds and blacks, spotlights, things like that, like orbs, maybe like it glows in a way, but without knowing like the sound of the music, if that makes sense. I couldn't put a visual to it. If you want to expand a little bit more.
So I write and produce contemporary jazz. So more of a Baltic or maybe even Nordic jazz feel to it rather than traditional 30s, 40s.
Okay.
So very much what is happening in the jazz world right now, I'd say, or at least from the beginning of the century. And I think it goes along with the ambience of electronic music also. So that's
Okay.
those two terms sound very far from each other, but in reality they actually blend quite smoothly.
I need to hear it. I can't wait. I see like blues and greens then. So I've gone from reds and blacks and spotlights and softness to now, I would say blues and greens, kind of the colours of the sea, quite strong like turquoises with a little bit of softness in there, would be my thing. But that could be completely different to what you have. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. Am I on the right lines?
Actually, you're quite spot on.
Oh,
Yeah. And I'm very glad that you asked me to specify a bit more about the sound of the music, because definitely when you said the reds and the blacks, I kind of squirmed in my chair like, oh no, but that's what I'm trying to get away from.
yeah.
And
I heard jazz and I went very traditional,
yeah.
right? And then, yeah.
But-
So, yeah, that's how, when you're explaining it to me, that's what I see. Again, there's no like right or wrong, but I'm glad that it's kind of on the right path for you. Well, why don't we formalize this? We might not be able to do it in full today because I have more of the session to get on with, but I've created a brand template essentially that you all can use. So I don't know if it's on the screen, hopefully it's on the screen. You can basically scan the QR code. Annoyingly, Canva has changed their rules. So unless you have a Canva Pro account, you can't access the brand kit, which is super, super disappointing. So I'm trying to find out a way to basically bypass this. But if you have a Canva Pro account, you can use this QR code and use the template. Otherwise, we can just write stuff down basically in this session and find a way to formalize it yourself on a piece of paper, basically. This is for your reference, so no one's going to kind of see this outside of you, but it's a really good way to start formalizing your brand and formalizing the energy behind your art. So first of all, with the brand kit, and we can do this all now for the next 15 minutes maybe, is to just start creating this template or start understanding the elements that we want to go into it, and then go away and start cleaning it up later, because this is going to influence your social media, how you approach your press shots, how you approach so many things basically. So you want your artist name there, and your brand kit. So that's the label essentially. Next, you might not have press shots yet, but I would have like 3 really strong press shots that goes with the aesthetic of your branding. So after this exercise, you may think, okay, I need to go away and take completely new press shots, because they're not, the shots that I have at the minute are not aligned with the energy that I want to convey as an artist. So for the next couple of minutes, I want you to come up with 4 words or 4 kind of phrases, very, very short phrases, like 2 words, that describe you as an artist and your music. So, for example, I'm sorry, I'm very bad at remembering names, but the first guy that came up, like mad scientist, 100%, that would be one of the brand values, because that just gives me so much to work with there. And then jazz girly, I do modern jazz or something that's like I think it was like Baltic jazz or something like this that you said, that again it just gives more of a descriptive and like an idea that gives me like more of an image, basically. So write down a few words about you as an artist and your brand, essentially.
If anyone wants to share, please come up. Anyone?
It's okay.
Please. Oh, there's one person who wants to come up and share.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. I do not want to. Is it working? I do not want to share yet. I want to go back to the question you had on the previous slide and what started all this of who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
And I figured that maybe I'm a few steps behind that topic yet, because I felt like I struggled to answer that question in a sense of I feel like my personality and my music are kind of different. And then, whereas like my music is quite dark and mysterious and kind of emotional and like in that sphere of things, my personality, on the other hand, is kind of like bubbly, and during the interviews, I'm very talkative and out there. And when I think about my branding, then it feels like, am I creating, like it feels fake to create a different persona that reflects my music better. But I guess that's what kind of branding is about, kind of as well, to express your authentic self, but also to create this persona that you want to portray with your, like, as an artist. So that's why with this task as well, like, I'm like, how do I then brand myself? How do I create this fake persona that represents my dark and mysterious side, which is also me? But then also, you know, you're just like changing yourself kind of in interviews and stuff, because that's not really, it is who my music is, but it's not who I am kind of, but it also is who I am. It's just like, yeah, that's the question, I guess.
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking it. It's like, I guess the music side of you is the alter ego. It's leading into the darkest parts of you, from what it sounds like. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you could make that part of the story and part of the branding. It's like the thoughts just before going to sleep, or the darkest thoughts that you don't let anyone see. And then when you describe it like that, it's easy to be like, well, I'm not like that all the time. It's like the darkest parts of me, and that's how my art is influenced. So like if you want to be yourself in interviews, be yourself and just explain that the art is the darkest parts of you, and it's an art form. That's what music is. It's art. So understanding that you are the artist, the art is a reflection of a certain part of you or a certain experience. So that's one option. The other option is to go full alter ego and lean into it. But it's what you feel most comfortable with, really. And I think from the sounds of it, you want to be yourself. You don't want to be this dark person. No one's dark all the time. I think that might be quite heavy to deal with as well, to consistently be. So just explaining that the music is the thoughts you don't want anyone to see, or, you know, the catastrophic fantasizing basically in music or whatever it is. And then when people understand that's what it is, they can see all of the parts of you, if that makes sense. I hope it does.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense, and it kind of clear things up as well a bit. Yeah. But then also the question is, I think for me, is how do I like? It's not like I don't want to be this dark person. It's not like I want to be myself, like the bubbly one as well. It feels like the question for me is how do I combine this in the branding? But then I guess from what I understand from your answer, with the branding, I go directly with the artistic and with the music side, and then the live, everything else that involves my personal opinions or such can be authentic as in the other side.
100%. Like, you want the branding to represent the art, essentially. It's like advertising for what someone's going to experience. So if it's like bubblegum pink and candy floss and things like that, and then the listening experience is very different. It's gonna be it's just a bit too far removed. So I would work on a branding that reflects the music and the art essentially.
Yep. Thank you.
No problem.
Rosanna, Rosanna, I believe the QR code in the previous slides didn't work. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
I'm really sorry. So I need to find a way to bypass this. So if you want to take a picture of the brand value sheet, and as I'm going to try and find a way to bypass it in terms of basically, unless you have a Canva Pro account, you can't use the QR code. So if you have Canva Pro, it will work for you. If you don't have a Canva Pro account, so that's a paid account, basically, it won't work. They've recently changed their rules.
maybe we can share the link with
Yeah, what I
with the
can
people
do is,
afterwards.
yes, I'll create a new template, add you as an editor, and then see if you can share it with people or add
Yeah.
them to it to make their own copies after. Yeah, it's just really frustrating at the minute. We're finding a way to bypass the rules, but we can still work on the elements, and then people can add them in after. So brand values are super, super important. So those are the feelings that you want people to get from the visuals alone, right? So this is before anyone even puts the headphones in their ears or listens to the music. Your brand values are descriptive words that describe your art and your music. So write down a few words there. And then from those brand values, you want to draw out colours, essentially. So, like with the jazz music, that kind of Nordic jazz, we've got the electric blues and turquoises. I would have white and black in there. And I feel like everything's quite strong. And then, I don't know, maybe this is cheesy, but maybe some kind of Northern Lights element where it's a little bit softer, but you've got those just streaks of things in there. I feel like that could be really cool to represent the jazz music. And then for our instrumentalist, we didn't touch on the style, but I love the Mad Scientist. I feel like the instrumentalist that I spoke to at the beginning is probably a dab hand at a few different genres and things like that. So maybe keeping it like more neutral in terms of not having like any leading colors or anything that's gonna associate them with a type of genre, a type of feeling. So I love the Mad Scientist. I'd have blues, blacks, whites, things like that. But keeping it as more of a canvas to complement the music and the instrumentals and things like that. So have a think of, I would say 4 to 5 key colours that would align with your brand as an artist. So if we're talking folk music and, you know, Lydia's kind of thing, we've got like a mauve and we've got like a corn yellow and things like that. Those are going to be softer and more leaning into her sound. But if we have the punk rock style, we want to be like harder colours, like colder colours, things like that. So have a think about the colours that you want to incorporate into your brand. The next important thing is the font. So when we were reviewing some of the EPKs, there was the one on the right. I couldn't read a thing. I really couldn't read what their artist name was. So you want to use a font that is readable. And you want 2 different fonts that complement each other. So one for kind of headlines and, you know, for bolding and things like that. And then one that is going to be your everyday font for communicating in like larger copy, basically. So think about how you want to appear in copy. Again, fonts are so important. So, for example, Lydia's one was very clean lines, but there were soft edges around the Y's and things like that. if I was doing punk rock, I would be very like hard lines, you know, no kind of soft edges, no, just very hard lines. For jazz, I feel like you could be a bit more playful with it, maybe have some accent letters or something that are a little bit different or a little bit quirky, but still readable. And then for the Lithuanian traditional, perhaps there's a like more of a traditional font in Lithuania, or a type of way that Lithuanian is written, and leaning into that with a little bit of a modern twist as well. With Spanish, you can have a think about, I feel like Spanish is quite a musical language. So having a think about how you can mix maybe a traditional Lithuanian font with more of a musical Spanish font as well, and seeing if there's a kind of meet in the middle that you could get to. But font is just as important as colors. It's just as important as descriptive words. But the most important thing is that it's readable. And then the next thing I wanted you to do was to create a mood board. So to go on Pinterest or Instagram or something like that, take some screenshots of aesthetics that you align with, or that aligns with your music, basically. So again, if I was a punk rock artist, I would take a screenshot of like was it Gene, is it Gene Simmons from Kiss? You know, the guy with that. I'd like, that would be one of my mood boards. One would be like really high black heels. One would be like gothic makeup, something like that. So people could get a really good idea that it's like kind of punky, like a mohawk and stuff like that. If I was an R&B artist, I'd want softer colors, maybe romance, maybe flowers, maybe hand holding, things like this. So I would just take a few screenshots on your phone and start putting a mood board together of that kind of feeling. And that can influence your pressure. So when you're working with a photographer and they're like, oh, what kind of style and things like that, the mood board that you put together can help dictate how your pressures are going to appear. So the mood board should have the energy that you want to convey. And then we want to have a logo, and we want to have a bio. So bio is a description about who you are as an artist, and it's a pretty quick one, a pretty small one, a couple of sentences. So the people that came up, how they described their music to me, something like that, very succinct to basically get to the point of who you are. It's just a very short form bio here. And then a logo of who you are as an artist. Again, make it readable and have it in that headline font, essentially. So take a picture of this brand template, start trying to work on putting the elements together of what you want to add to it. And then we'll try and sort the templates that you can have access to something to drop stuff in. But it's very simple. You can create it yourself as well. So I don't want it to be an excuse. There shouldn't be a barrier to putting it together, essentially. This was a template to kind of get you started, but it's very simple to put it together yourself. Okay. So yeah, this would have been a time for solo work, to work on it. So if you want to kind of take the next 5 minutes, because yeah, we're kind of on time. So you want to take the next 5 minutes to start putting some of these elements together. Even the mood board, just kind of looking on Pinterest, looking on your phone, like popping them into a folder, looking at fonts that you really like, things like that. I'd try and go for free fonts. Some fonts are paid for and you have to pay for licenses and things like this. So try and go for free fonts. And then putting some colors, like pulling out some colors. So if you start with your mood board, you can pull out consistent colors from there that you like as well. So we'll go until 3:10. So 7 minutes. You have 7 minutes to put stuff together.
Okay, so we have 7 minutes to work on this, and if you don't want to work on this, you can have a quick break. And yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see you in 7 minutes.
yeah. You can also go on a break if you want. So yeah, it's up to you because it's a long session. So
Yeah. So see you all back 5:10.
cool. Okay. Is everyone?
Hi.
Hi.
So we can continue our
cool.
session.
Okay.
I guess some people can share what they put together
Yeah.
during the break if they want.
Yeah,
If
that would
anyone
be really
wants, please
nice.
come up.
If anyone has those kind of descriptive words or kind of images to share or anything like that.
I think there's no one this time.
Okay,
So
no
we can
problem.
continue.
Yeah, I realize I am remote, so it's yeah. Okay, so we had our break. Okay, cool. So we've worked on our branding. So now we've spoken about EPKs. I want you to start making your own. Again, only if you have Canva Pro will this QR code work. If you don't have Canva Pro, it's not going to work, but I'll send a link to the team for them to add emails to after. So basically a new rule with Canva. It's very frustrating. So it can only work if you have Canva Pro. Otherwise, I'll share this template with the team for them to share with you after. But essentially, I want you to start getting elements together to create your electronic press kit, so your EPK. So the key elements that we spoke about a few slides back is having something to listen to. So a listen link, ideally to the name of your latest release or the upcoming release, some artwork behind there, and a press shot where this kind of big image kind of hold is over here. So we've got listen link, a name of the latest release, pop the artwork in behind it, then a press shot next to it. You've got room for a short bio as well, like we spoke about earlier. This one can be a bit longer than the brand kit bio. Some contact details, so whether it's your management, whether it's your artist email, whatever it is, pop some contact details in there. And then, like we went over on Shreya Call's EPK one pager, we have some stats basically, and stats are really good to help people understand where you are as an artist, your size, and the influence that you have, and the audience that you have as well. So, add in some stats here. If stats aren't impressive, you don't need to include them, but you can include your most impressive stats. So, if there's a certain song that's had 1 million streams, pop that in there kind of thing. So have a think about the most impressive stats basically that you can add in here that's going to be engaging to someone. And then pop any other key infos or quotes. So with Lydia, we saw that BBC Introducing had supported her. With Shreya, we had Nylon and Rolling Stone and things like that. So pop that info in this section here. And then the key date. So that's really important, where people are going to see you, if you're performing, if you have an upcoming release, pop that release in there. So any key dates that gives a sense of urgency to what you're doing as well. So people aren't just like hanging around, oh, this is a nice EPK, but what's happening next? You want to spoon feed people basically so that they get all of the answers that they need from glancing at one page, essentially. And this template is really good because yes, you can have a general EPK one pager so people understand who you are as an artist, but you can also tweak it to say you were pitching for sync. So synchronization opportunities, TV, advertising, things like that. You're going to want to add key quotes that sync would be interested in, key releases that a sync plugger might be interested in, like how many streams and things like that, how many monthly listeners that someone from the sync world might be interested in. Same with live. If you're pitching to a live agent, this shot here, you might want to have that as you performing live. The listen link, you might want it to be a live version or a live video. The bio, you're going to want to tweak it to how many times you've performed live or how many festivals you've performed at and stages and things like that. Key info and quotes, make it all about live performances, key dates, live performances, things like this. So this is a really good baseline for a general EPK, but then also tweaking it for different types of needs. So again, Hopefully some of you might be able to access it if you have Canva Pro, otherwise you'll get access to it later. But don't let it be a barrier to stopping progress, because you can make one yourself as well. Okay, so I did put in some time for solo work here as well to work on your EPK. So if you wanted to have some time to work on this, or Giedra, it depends how you feel. Like if people want to keep moving, let me know.
I think people, yeah, would you like to share something? Apparently, people have Canva Pro, but they still cannot access this.
Oh, really?
So maybe we can share this, afterwards,
Yeah,
so people
we'll
can
share
work
it.
and just
Okay.
do it as homework.
Yeah, homework. That's what everyone loves from a conference. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, they've changed their rules, and clearly it's not even Canva Pro is working. So it's very frustrating. I will share it afterwards. But if you wanted to put down some elements and start writing down some elements, even take a picture so you can just know what you want to put together. This is like a good start anyway. Okay, so we've had time for solo work. If anyone wants to show and tell, if anyone has any questions, and then we can move on to the final part of the session, which is pitching yourself.
Any questions at the moment? No, I don't think so. I guess we can move on.
All right. So this is essentially pitching yourself. This is written by a journalist. So I've done this session well, many times. I love teaching in general, but I've done this specific session in the Faroe Islands with a journalist as well. And I literally got her to write down what makes a compelling pitch to her. Because I can tell you as a publicist, but when you hear it from a journalist, it's like, okay, well, this is a journalist telling me. So we've talked about story, we've talked about consistency, we've talked about kind of you representing your artistic self in the best way. But there are actual certain elements that also need to be included in a pitch to make it compelling. So what are these? The first one is a clear message of who you are as an artist, and hopefully some of the exercises we did before, especially with the branding one, those 4 keywords are really going to dictate how you are as an artist, how you behave, how you represent yourself, essentially. So a really key message of your why. Why do you make music? Yes, you make music, it's an art, it's great. Yes, your music's good. Why? Why does the world need to hear your music? Why can't it hear the music of the person next to you and just be happy, right? Really have a clear reason why your music is so compelling, why people should listen to you, why it's needed in the world. And then you want the information, the EPK, that's easy to understand at a glance. So that's why we were popping the EPK together, or popping the elements together. When you're pitching to a journalist, they have a limited amount of time. They don't want to be asking you questions to send this, have a broken link, and they can't listen to it, or there's a password behind this or something like that. You want to spoon feed people as much as possible, make it so easy that there's no barriers getting in their ways. Because even clicking, that's like one barrier too far for some people. I know it sounds ridiculous, but journalists are inundated with emails, like thousands and thousands of emails every day. So if there's something in your email that they can't access the music, they're not going to reply back to you and be like, oh, can you resend me this link? And you kind of lose your chance, basically. It's very rare that someone will be like chasing you down to listen to something as a breaking artist. So really get your shit together, so get your drive together, and present the information in a really easy to understand at a glance way. So key things to have is your artist name, the name of your release, and when it's out. Okay, so that's like really key. You'd be surprised how many people forget to include that. And then a link of like a private link that's just easy to access, not hidden behind a password or anything like that, for people to listen to. That is the basics. And then you can kind of go from there. So add more color, add more information, things like that. So Mary, who helped write this slide for me, who this is how she likes to hear and understand pitches. She wants an idea of who your listeners are as well. And again, if you've had features in other places, you can kind of share the names of those places so that there's that kind of inference of what kind of listener you have. If you don't have that, you can share information from your social media. So you can look at your insights on social media and see kind of where people are based and age range and things like that. So she wants an idea of who your listeners are and a sense of your personality, because so Mary's a journalist and she also has a radio show. If she's going to interview you on air, she wants to understand who you are as a person. So when you're writing an email or writing a pitch, you don't want it to be like, dear so and so, blah blah blah, like, you know, just all of the information very cold. You want to be like personal, add your personality into there, add your quirks, add the way you speak into there, as long as it's legible and readable. Add elements of yourself, and that's what sets you apart as an artist as well. And this will tie into the last points, but you really want to be personable in a way that's personal to the journalist too. So when you're reaching out to a journalist, you should be really engaging with what they've been up to and understanding what they've been up to, who they've previously interviewed on air, who they've previously written about or covered, what kind of music they like listening to, what kind of music their show covers, if it's a radio host. So on top of just sharing your personality, you also want to be personable and personal with the journalist, and really show that you've done your research into who they are and the type of music they cover and why you'd be perfect for them to cover you, essentially. And then nice to have is examples of interviews you've previously done, podcasts, etc. This is for radio interviews. If you're pitching to magazines and things like that, or traditional media, print media, they're more competitive. So you don't really want to be sharing previous interviews you've done or anything else you've got lined up. You want them to feel like they've got the scoop and the exclusive. So that the first point is for radio only. Second would be press shots with both a light and a dark background, video footage, social copy. So press shots, again, you can put it in your asset folder. So you can share an asset folder with the journalist. Video footage, same thing. Social copy, you can send links to social media as well. With pictures, we tend to like attach one image max to pictures that we send out, because spam filters will just detect if you overload an email with too many hyperlinks, too many links, too many photos, too many bolded words, it can just go straight into junk folders. So I would say if you're going to attach an image, attach one max, and make sure it's not high res, make sure it's like 1 megabyte essentially, at the most. You don't want to clog up someone's inbox. That's kind of points against you there. So a link to your press drive will more than suffice, and maybe attach one really cool image that gets their attention. And then the last one that I've kind of touched upon is to build meaningful relationships with journalists and hosts. Go to their events, sign up to their newsletters, interact with their words, comment on their social media, follow them on social media. Be human, you know, like make connections. You give and you get, right? So give your time, energy, support, and people reciprocate that a lot of the time too. So the places that you want to be featured in, start finding out the journalists that write for those places and the journalists that cover the type of music that you release, right? The type of music that they might align with. And if it's yours, great. Start following them on Instagram, on Twitter, on whatever it is. Start engaging with their content, right? And then if they see that you've commented on their newsletter or something like that in the past, they're more likely to open an email from you to and respond to it and to listen to your music, because you've started creating a connection there. You're not just coming in cold. And then the last point is to be ahead of dates of interest. So knowing when to pitch and why is really important. If you've got some subject matter, if you're a Black artist and Black History Month in the UK is in October, and you've written a song that's tied into heritage, start pitching it in August or September, saying it's for this kind of month when coverage is going to be around this subject, essentially. Same with Pride, same with like Lithuanian Independence Day, or I don't even know if there is a Lithuanian Independence Day, I'm so sorry. But any like national dates or anything like that that links to your music in some way, be aware of them, like National Mental Health Day or National Pancake Day or whatever it is. If you've written a song about pancakes, like try and be really smart about what's happening in terms of dates of interest and pitching your music around these. Something else that's quite a good tip is like news hijacking. So if there's a particular subject in the news taking place that links again to your music, you could email journalists that have written about this subject in the news and say, my music's a reflection of this, my music's an outcome of this subject. So that could be, okay, this is going to sound really morbid, but it's just what's come to mind. If there's been a domestic violence case happening or something in the news around that, and you've written a song about how you've overcome this or how you've experienced this and how you've found freedom, and basically sharing the art that's helped you heal from certain things can be really helpful in these moments too. So have a think about what's going on around you, what's coming up, and how you can add value to what's happening in news cycles as well, not just kind of come in like a bull in a china shop and say cover me, and it's not really linked or related to other things. So have a think about that. Okay, well that's the end of the presentation. I know we didn't have like a lot of time to do the practical stuff. I also have a course basically that we teach you to do the PR yourself, give you pitching templates, give you a bio template, a press release template, a release timeline template. So you literally put in your release date and you get a timeline populated for like a single release, an EP release, and an album release. You've got a release checklist, like yeah, just so many things in there. So if you're interested in that, it's £120 for a year subscription, and you have access for a year, or you can have a lifetime subscription, which again is super affordable. And it was really important that I made it as affordable as possible for indie artists. So if you have any questions about that or you want to check it out, that's the link there, and I'll send this presentation to the team post event. But now it's your chance to ask any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Practical questions? Anything that comes to your mind? Yeah, please come up. Or yeah.
So my question, it's a mad scientist again. So I have a question, for example, for the artists that come from Lithuania, but want to have a go into international, at international market, right? So what would be your advice, how to approach that? Because some things you've mentioned certainly apply, but sometimes it might be a bit harder to build personal relationships. And, you know, I think also Lithuania is a small country, so most people kind of know each other. So
Yeah.
a lot of things you mentioned to some extent apply if you want to go international. But I don't know, maybe you mentioned a few like what strengths you have when you come from outside the community and like particular challenges. Maybe you can imagine you currently now sit in Lithuania, which is like more than 2,000 miles away from London, probably where you are. Kind of keen, you want to make it, you want to tour, you could grab a flight and fly in, but then it can be quite daunting. Yeah. That's my question.
I'm sorry. I don't quite understand the question. So
The question is, what would be advice for you for a Lithuanian artist that wants to build international presence?
Right. Start building internationally. The internet is global. So all of the things that we touched upon in this last slide about building meaningful relationships, it doesn't mean that you have to show up in person to events or anything like that. Journalists have newsletters, journalists have Substacks, journalists have Twitter profiles, Instagram profiles. it's not necessary to be in the same territory as someone. I've made really good friends with journalists in the US that we've never met before because of the seas between us. But you can build relationships online. So I wouldn't consider being in Lithuania a barrier at all. I would just start engaging really, and then if you are in the country that the journalist is at, kind of reach out after you've been building relationships. Say, reach out. I don't suppose you're around for a coffee. I'm here. I'm touching ground. Like, let's just say hello. I would say build relationships versus just being transactional, if that makes sense. So just, I need this, give me this, I want this, cover me here, kind of thing. Build relationships, engage with their work. And that way you're going to have like a more meaningful connection, and they're more likely to listen to your music and share your stuff when you have it and meet harp when you're in the country and stuff like that. So it's the internet's amazing. It's democratized so many things. It's not necessary to be in the same country as someone to make a connection anymore.
Thank you. We also received some questions through the registration form, and one of them is kind of similar. So maybe Rosanna, you'll have something more to add. A similar question. Can a Lithuanian alternative music artist strive for only international success and not target Lithuanian audiences? Or should you first become popular in Lithuania and then take your next step to international audiences?
Absolutely. You don't have to start in Lithuania at all. It depends how Lithuanian press receive you. If it's going to be easy wins, and you can get people to support you in that way. But if your mind and motive is international, go international, start building those international relationships, things like that. I would say don't discount the people in Lithuania that have influence, that can introduce you to people, that can share your music with the world as well. But if your motive is international, if you're looking at international and hoping to kind of move out of Lithuania, I guess in the future, focus on international. But it's also good to water where you're planted as well. So maybe a balance, but you definitely don't have to break Lithuania to break the world at all.
Any more questions? Yeah.
Okay, let's add the language barrier, because in Lithuania, if you want to actually be at least somewhat mainstream, you have to do music in Lithuanian. It's a trend and it's a thing that you have to do. And from my experience, if you want to go anywhere, you have to have at least some kind of backup from Lithuania. And how do you see the language barrier? For example, in my case, I do music in both languages, Lithuanian and English, and I try to mix it. How would you see, would it be even relevant to go somewhere while doing that outside of Lithuania? Would that be something that is foreign people are interested in, foreign listeners?
That's such a good question. It's really unfortunate. There's only like a few music genres that kind of have crossover appeal currently. So with some French and English music and Spanish and English music is very popular, but even we work with Indian artists, even having like Tamil and English music is it's not really as received well in the press. So it's very difficult to do crossover music. It's very tough. I would say, and I would assume, because I don't know too much about Lithuanian communities around the world, but I would assume there's pockets of Lithuanians in every country. I would assume that Lithuanians aren't limited to Lithuania, so it might be good to engage with Lithuanian communities in different countries and understanding where they're at. But it's very, very difficult to have kind of global appeal in a with a language that's not easily understood globally or spoken globally currently. So that's why Spanish and French are very popular. And then, I mean, that's not to say we couldn't have a Lithuanian revolution like the K-pop and J-pop eras, because people are learning Korean and Japanese because of the music and the aesthetics and things like that. In terms of those bands and those music, but we found it with just the Indian language as well in Tamil. There's been some barriers as well.
Thank you. We got one more question from the forum, which is more practical. As the playlist era fades, what alternative strategies currently bring the best results for independent artists, particularly from smaller countries like Lithuania?
It's a really good question as well. Everyone's so switched on. Like have a multimedia strategy basically, without burning yourself out. I really recommend that every artist starts a Substack or has a Substack if they don't have one already, as long as you can be consistent with it and be kind of writing a newsletter every week. Substack is free, and it also helps you collect data of your audiences. It helps you get long form content out there, get your personality out there. You can share your music, you can share your thoughts, things like that. It's free to do so. You can follow other Substacks, you can comment on other people's Substacks. A lot of journalists have Substacks, and then they can read about you and things like that through yours. So that is the biggest recommendation that I have for artists going into 2026 is to start a Substack. A lot of media companies are they're very slow, but they're switching onto it, and there's cross collaboration, cross promotion of different Substacks as well. So just start building an audience on there, and a lot of places are really interested in that. The Line of Best Fit is the biggest European independent music site, I believe, and they have a Substack, and they're kind of they were the first to do it really well. ID's just moved to Substack. So I would just say get on Substack. Playlist era isn't dying or dead, in my opinion. It's just harder to get onto. But playlists are really good. Playlists are amazing to get people. It's that kind of laid back listening is the thing. It's not switched on listening. So you could be in a playlist, someone's got it on in the background. But yeah, getting those eyeballs on straight to people, straight to your audience, I would really recommend Substack is a great way to do that.
Thank you. Any more audience questions? I believe that's it. Thank you, Rosanna. It was absolutely lovely to have you. Very informative and amazing presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I hope you can hear people cheering for you.
Yeah, I did. So sweet. So sweet. Thank you so much. Feel free to email me as well if you have any more questions. My name is Rosanna, Rosanna, at Morena, morena.uk. So if you want to get in touch about anything, we also have a contact form on our website as well. So if you have any other questions after this session that come to mind, please email and be a friend, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can as well.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.